Hello everyone, my name is Odette and in this video I will explain the humanistic learning theory. To begin with this topic, let's look at the words by Andrew Johnson who says, "Trying to understand human beings or physical reality using only experimental research is like trying to make sense of the world by looking at it through a cardboard tube with one eye closed." This is important to mention since the humanism approach emerges as a response to the lack of humanism, the behaviorist and the Freud explanations presented, who often reduced human beings to a bunch of reactions, stimulus-response reactions, or to a score on a test. It also criticizes that the last thing that behaviorists did was to ask the person how they felt while they were learning, ask for their emotional experiences, their reasons to learn, and others. Now, let's see what this humanistic learning theory is all about. And the human learning theory is concerned with our personal growth and includes attention to the students' affective dimensions, such as the self-concept, the values, and their emotions. Human education enhances learning by making personal connections to students' lives, emotions, and experiences. And this as a result, students are able to learn more and learn more deeply. Learning to the humanistic approaches. Humanistic learning theorists define learning as the growth of the person. This involves the cognitive, emotional, and interpersonal aspects. Instead of focusing on the accumulation of knowledge, they consider more important how the learner's way of being in the world impacts the integration of skills and knowledge. They also avoid something that's called the teacher-directed learning, which is basically the transmission of knowledge. This is because they consider that the most important learning and the growth cannot be transmitted directly from one person to another, and instead they think that knowledge integration is a natural process that happens in an adequate environment that facilitates the process of knowledge acquisition. Motivation to the humanistic approach. Motivation is the main concept for this theory. From the perspective of humanistic theorists, motivate means to activate our inner resources, the inner resources in people, to activate their need of competency, their self-esteem, their autonomy, and the self-realization. These approaches, as I said before, emerged as a response to behaviorism, and they take into consideration affective characteristics that are relevant to the people. For example, how they feel about themselves and the others as well, and the inner rewards, such as feeling proud of doing a project or pleased with any accomplishment. And as in every theory, we have main theorists or facilitator that um, develop these theories. For example, for the major humanistic theorists, we have Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. The psychologists, Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow, both of them believe that the goal of education is to facilitate the student's development and self-actualization. Both of them are generally thought to be the founders of modern humanistic learning theory. And in this presentation, we will see more about what they discovered or what they said about this humanistic approach in education. To begin with, we have Maslow. Maslow was an American psychologist and one of the most important theories that reflect and expose the humanistic approach to the motivation is Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Here, he developed a hierarchy of needs that presented the following ones. From bottom to top, we have number one, the physiological needs. This involve breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing. The next is safety and security, which are basically employment or health or family, social stability, and also our freedom from anxiety, danger, or any psychological threatening. On the middle of the pyramid, we have love and belonging, which is the acceptance from our friends, our family members, and the teachers as well, and our sense of connection with these people. Um, then we have the self-esteem. It is our confidence, our achievements, the respects that we have for others, and also the need to be a unique individual. Then, on the top of this pyramid, as our main goal to reach, we have the concept of self actualization, which is the morality, the creativity, spontaneity. This basically means our inner potential, the self expression of our capabilities. In the theory, Maslow says that unless we have fully satisfied the first needs, the ones on the top, on the bottom of the pyramid, the lowest levels on the hierarchy of needs, we won't be able to reach the superior needs that are on the top. Now let's analyze how this pyramid works. This pyramid works on an ascendant way. For example, it's like hiking from the bottom until we reach the top of the pyramid. Starting by physiological needs, these are the most basic ones, are the basics to survive. Um, Once we satisfy them, they can start being substituted by the superior needs. For example, if we satisfy our physiological needs or needs of resting, eating, wearing adequate clothes, then we can start to satisfy the upper needs. For example, once we satisfy the physiologicals, then we go with the safety needs. And once they are satisfied, we go with the with the belongingness and the love needs. We start appreciating the interpersonal relationships as kind, for example, and thus uh, the need of love, for example, and belonging. This will motivate our behavior, and then we are going to start seeking unstable and overall high self esteem that may take us to look for self actualization, which, as I said before, is the main goal in this theory. Applying all this to the classroom or to a student example, Maslow says that a well rested student, as someone who is psychologically stable, can maintain certain academic skills or at least have the curiosity to learn and to solve his doubts. On the other hand, a tired student won't have the energy to do these tasks. Um, However, we know that this doesn't happen. Students tend to skip certain psychological needs, physiological needs, for example, eating or sleeping, in order to prepare, for example, for an important exam. Or maybe we don't have just one goal, we're working on diverse aims. Nonetheless, Maslow believed that humans tend to respond first to the most basic of two needs. For example, if we have to develop or deliver an assignment, a project, but we are hungry or we are sleepy, we first satisfy our physiological needs and then we continue with the project. We know that that does not always happen in that way, and this is one of the main reasons why this theory has been criticized, because it is evident that humans do not always behave as the theory predicts. Now, Carl Rogers is the second theorist that we are going to see. And he was a psychotherapist who was interested in education. He agreed with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and he actually borrows a concept of self-actualization, and he exposes this concept as well. He was a psychotherapist, and so he exposes a client-centered therapy, where clients were given healthy and an encouraging environment that provided the clients with validation that boosted their self-esteem. And this helped them grow themselves, and which, as I said before, is the main principle of this theory, the personal growth. And humanism is based in this. He believes that people can grow or blossom like flowers, and to do all this, it is necessary to be surrounded or to be involved in an environment that provides us with acceptance and empathy. Carl Rogers presents an important concept called the self concept. Human beings' self concept is a set of perceptions and beliefs of our own selves. It is composed by three aspects or three other main concepts: self worth, self image, and the ideal self. Self worth is what we think we are worth of as people and what we deserve in life. This depends on the treatment we received as children from our parents. Then we have the self image, which is how we look at ourselves as humans that are part of a society. If we think of ourselves as good or bad people, or if we think of ourselves as beautiful, ugly, successful, or unsuccessful, it is like looking at a mirror. It is an analysis of our own selves. And then we have the concept of ideal self. Ideal self is the person we'd like to be in our minds, the ideal state for ourselves involves all of our goals and ambitions. And we know goals can change over the time in the course of our lives, and our ideal self goes under change as well. And basically, self concept, it is an analysis of what we consist of. And we know that it is influenced by childhood and how society perceives us. So if we as humans move closer to our ideal self, then we move closer to self-actualize, which is the next concept. Self-actualization. It was previously mentioned in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was on the top of the pyramid, and it is our potential and our self-expression of our capabilities. Um, Self-actualization directs towards human beings fulfilling the full potential and becoming one with our ideal self. And if our self image matches our ideal self, then we reach the state of self actualization. Now we are going to talk about another important concept. A person who has achieved the self actualization I mentioned before is called a fully functional person. And Rogers believed that human beings are inherently good people and that they always work towards achieving self actualization and they always try to build themselves and to turn ourselves into better persons, people. And so a fully functional person has these characteristics. Is open to feedback, whether it's good or bad, critics, and makes realistic changes, whether they are small changes or big ones. Lives in harmony with the others and with themselves, and trusts their feelings and instincts, whether they are good or bad feelings, he or she accepts. And here there's no ego defense mechanism, and is happy to build experience and face situations without any prejudice. He is happy and satisfied with life as well, and is aware of have to, which is the responsibilities, choose to their decisions, and needs to their needs, and also with want to, which is their desires. Now, congruence. This is a moralistic concept or talks about realistic. Congruence is the extent of the overlap between persons, the person's self-image and their ideal self. Um, the higher the level of congruence is the closer we are to reach our self-actualization and the closer we are to be a fully functional person. In this diagram, you can see incongruent side, self-worth, self-image, and ideal self are not colliding. They are like separate concepts. And for us to fully success, we have to make them collide and collaborate. For example, in congruent, we can see that three concepts are united. Now let's apply all this to the humanism in the classroom. Inside the classroom, humanism emphasizes the humanistic side of learning and the necessity of the teacher to consider his students' choices, needs, and personal growth. Sometimes teachers try to award superior needs too soon, and this makes the student to feel insecure on the classroom. They first have to feel confident and secure on the space they will learn and have a dominance or manage of the knowledge. Even if it's a basic one, it has to be realistic. And they have to learn how to work with other students before trying to reach the upper needs in the pyramid, for example. And so we can say that the humanist teacher is a facilitator rather than a disseminator of knowledge. Um, much of the humanist teachers' efforts are going to be directed towards developing the children's self-esteem, and it is important to children to feel good about themselves and to feel that they can set and achieve appropriate goals.